The council chamber was quiet. Too quiet for a room that should be filled with voices planning war. Ambassador Krell 9 stood at the center of the great hall. His crystal body caught the light from above. Around him sat the leaders of 12 different worlds. All of them looked scared. 14 systems have fallen, Krell 9 said. His voice echoed in the empty space. The Zephyrians show no mercy. They take our people and turn them into machines. Our fleets cannot stop them. Council leader Thara leaned forward in her chair. Her green skin looked pale under the lights. How many ships do they have now? More than we can count, Krell 9 replied. Every battle makes them stronger. They take our technology and make it better. They learn from every fight. Our weapons become useless after one battle. The room fell silent again. Everyone knew what this meant. The Zephyrian Empire was winning. They had been winning for 6 months. Every day brought news of another world lost. Another million people turned into metal slaves. General Vox of the warrior clans slammed his fist on the table. We need more ships, more weapons, more soldiers. We have tried, said Diplomat Xeris. Her blue feathers were ruffled with stress. The defense fleet lost 300 ships last week. The Zephyrians destroyed them all and lost only 20 of their own. Then what do you suggest? Thara asked. Should we surrender? Should we let them turn us all into machines? The council members looked at each other. No one had an answer. They had tried everything. Bigger ships, better weapons, smarter tactics. Nothing worked. The Zephyrians always found a way to win. Junior Ambassador Quinn raised his small hand. He was young for a council member. Most of the others thought he talked too much. What about the humans? The room erupted in noise. Half the council started talking at once. The other half started laughing. The humans? General Vox snorted. Those primitive Deathworlders? They barely have space travel. Their world is a nightmare, added Diplomat Xeris. Nothing but violence and chaos. They fight each other more than they fight their enemies. Quinn stood up straighter. That is exactly why we should ask them. Explain, Thara said. She looked tired. Very tired. Quinn walked to the center of the room. I have been reading reports about human conflicts. They do not fight like us. They do not follow rules. They do not care about honor. That makes them worse, not better, General Vox said. Does it? Quinn asked. The Proxima border incident. 3 pirate ships attacked 1 human patrol vessel. The pirates had better weapons and more ships, but the humans won. One lucky battle, Xeris said. No, Quinn replied. The humans used tactics no one had seen before. They fired their engines at the pirates, used the exhaust as a weapon. They rammed 1 ship with their cargo bay. They fought like animals. See? General Vox said. Savages. Effective savages, Quinn said. The pirates were so confused they forgot to fight back. The humans disabled all 3 ships in 10 minutes. Thara was listening now, really listening. Continue. The Zephyrians adapt to our tactics because our tactics make sense, Quinn explained. We follow rules, we use logic, we fight with honor. But humans do not care about any of that. They only care about winning. Their planet is listed as a Class 12 hazard zone, Diplomat Xeris said. Most of our people cannot even visit there. The gravity is too strong, the atmosphere is toxic, the weather kills people. And that is where they learn to fight, Quinn said. Every day on their world is a battle. They fight their weather. They fight their animals. They fight each other. For them, war is normal. The room was quiet again, but this was a different kind of quiet. A thinking quiet. Even if you are right, Thara said slowly, why would they help us? This is not their war. Because they remember, Quinn said. The asteroid crisis of 2387. When their world was in danger, we helped them. We gave them the technology to stop the asteroid. We saved their planet. That was almost 200 years ago, General Vox said. Humans have long memories, Quinn replied. Especially about debts. Thara looked around the room. She could see the doubt in everyone's faces. but she could also see the fear. They were losing this war. Soon there would be no council left to make decisions. "What exactly are you suggesting?" she asked. "We send them a message," Quinn said. "We tell them we need help. We ask for whatever they can spare." "A few ships," Xeris said. "Maybe some advisors." "Anything," Quinn said. "Even a small human force might confuse the Zephyrians long enough for us to regroup." Thera stood up. "All in favor of requesting human assistance?" 7 hands went up. It was not many, but it was enough. "Draft the message," Thera said. "Make it clear how desperate we are. Ask for any help they can provide." As the council members filed out, diplomat Xeris stayed behind. "You really think this will work?" she asked Quinn. The young ambassador looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Zephyrians were destroying another world. Somewhere else, the humans were living their violent lives on their dangerous planet. "I think," Quinn said, "that we are about to find out what happens when you ask a death world for help." The message was sent that night. It traveled through space toward a small blue planet on the edge of the galaxy. A planet where every creature was a predator and every day was a fight to survive. The council expected a small response, maybe a few ships, maybe some soldiers. They had no idea what they had just unleashed. General Patrick Hayes read the message for the 3rd time. The alien text had been translated by the best computers on Earth, but he still could not believe what it said. The galaxy was at war, and they wanted help from humans. "Sir?" Colonel Lisa Morgan stood beside his desk. She had been waiting for 5 minutes while he read. "What are your orders?" Hayes looked up at her. His face was hard like stone. "Get me Admiral Carter. Get me the Joint Chiefs. Get me everyone." 1 hour later, the most important people in Earth's military sat around a table. The alien message played on the big screen. Pictures of destroyed worlds filled the room. Cities turned to ash. People turned into machines. "How many ships do these Zephyrians have?" asked Admiral John Carter. He was the head of Earth's Space Navy. "According to this data, about 3,000 combat vessels," Colonel Morgan replied. "Each one is bigger than our largest battleship." "And they want us to fight that?" Captain Ryan Torres laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "We have 47 ships. They have 3,000. "Numbers do not tell the whole story," said Major Kate Sullivan. She had fought in the underground wars on Titan. "Look at how they fight." The screen changed to show a space battle. Alien ships moved in perfect lines. They fired in patterns. They followed rules. "They fight like they are playing a game," Torres said. "Exactly," Sullivan replied. "They have rules. They have honor. They fight fair. And that is their weakness," Hayes said. He stood up and walked to the screen. "We do not fight fair. We never have." The room was quiet. Everyone knew what he meant. Human history was full of wars. Wars where the winner was whoever was willing to do anything to win. "The Mongols used biological warfare," Hayes continued. "They threw diseased bodies over city walls. The Greeks used fire ships. They set their own boats on fire and sailed them into enemy fleets." "World War II," Carter added. "Submarine warfare, bombing cities, nuclear weapons." "The Vietnam War," Sullivan said. "Guerrilla tactics, booby traps, fighting dirty." Hayes nodded. "Every human war has taught us the same lesson. There is no such thing as a fair fight. There is only winning and losing." "So, what are you saying?" Torres asked. "I am saying," Hayes replied, "that these Zephyrians have never fought an enemy like us. They adapt to tactics they understand, but they have never seen human tactics." Colonel Morgan pulled up Earth's military files. "We have weapons they have never encountered, kinetic penetrators. They ignore energy shields completely." "Cyber warfare," added Captain Torres. "Our computer viruses evolved in the chaos of Earth's internet. They are designed to work in hostile environments." "Nuclear weapons," Sullivan said. "Most galactic civilizations banned them centuries ago. We still build them." Admiral Carter leaned back in his chair. "You are talking about sending our entire fleet." Yes, Hayes said. All 47 ships, every experimental weapon, every dirty trick we know. Sir, Morgan said carefully, if we lose, Earth has no defense. If we do nothing, Hayes replied, these Zephyrians will eventually reach Earth anyway. Better to fight them now, while we have allies. The room fell silent. Again. Outside the windows they could see Earth's blue oceans and white clouds. It looked peaceful. But everyone in the room knew better. Earth was not peaceful. It never had been. There is something else, Torres said. These aliens saved us during the asteroid crisis. We owe them. Debts matter, Sullivan agreed, especially to humans. Hayes walked back to his chair. All in favor of full military response? Every hand in the room went up. Admiral Carter, Hayes said, how long to prepare? The fleet? 72 hours, Carter replied. If we skip the safety checks. Skip them, Hayes said. Colonel Morgan, I want every experimental weapon loaded. Everything we have been afraid to test. Sir, some of those weapons are theoretical. We do not know if they will work. Then we will find out, Hayes said. Major Sullivan, I want boarding. Parties trained in alien ship layouts. Study those pictures. Learn how their technology works. Yes, sir, Sullivan said. Should we follow galactic rules of engagement? Hayes smiled. It was not a nice smile. Major, the aliens asked for help. They did not ask us to be nice about it. 3 days later, the human fleet gathered in space above Earth. 47 ships hung in the darkness like metal sharks. The biggest was the battleship UHS Retribution. The smallest was a destroyer called the UHS Reaper. Admiral Carter stood on the bridge of his flagship, the UHS Vengeance. Around him, his crew prepared for war. They loaded weapons that other species had banned. They programmed computer viruses that could think and learn. They checked systems that could crack planets. Admiral, his communications officer said, message from Earth Command. Put it on screen. General Hayes appeared on the main display. Behind him stood the leaders of every human government. Admiral Carter, you carry with you the hopes of 2 species. The aliens expect a few ships and some advisors. Carter nodded. What should we give them, sir? Give them, Hayes said, a demonstration of why humans survived on a death world. Show them what we learned from 10,000 years of war. The transmission ended. Carter looked around his bridge. His crew was ready. Behind him, 46 other ships waited for orders. Helm, Carter said. Set course for the Altarian system. Maximum speed. Yes, sir, the helmsman replied. Estimated travel time, 6 days. Carter sat in his command chair. In 6 days, the galaxy would learn something new about humans, something the aliens probably did not want to know. Signal the fleet, he said. Message reads, remember, we are not going to save them. We are going to win. The human fleet jumped to hyperspace. Behind them, Earth continued its slow rotation, peaceful and beautiful from space. But the people on the surface knew better. They knew that peace was just the time between wars, and humans had been preparing for war their entire history. The space around SciFiPrime was full of death. Zephyrian ships hung in orbit like metal spiders around their prey. Below them, the planet burned. Cities that had stood for 1,000 years were now piles of ash and metal. Ambassador Krell 9 watched from the observation deck of the monitoring station. His crystal body reflected the orange glow of the dying world. Beside him stood other alien diplomats. They had come to witness the final battle for the Altarian system. How long before the planet falls? Asked Diplomat Zaris. Her blue feathers were gray with stress. 6 hours, Krell 9 replied. Maybe less. The Zephyrians are preparing to land. They're conversion troops. On the screens around them, they could see the enemy fleet. 200 Zephyrian ships surrounded the planet, their weapons charged with deadly energy. Their shields shimmered like soap bubbles in the starlight. Any word from the humans? Zaris asked. Nothing, Krell 9 said. Perhaps they decided not to come. A young technician looked up from his console. Sir, I am detecting hyperspace disturbances. Something is coming. Krell 9 turned to the screen. How many ships? I cannot tell, sir. The readings are strange. Space twisted near the edge of the system. Reality bent and folded like paper. Then in a burst of light, ships began to appear. But these were not the ships anyone expected. The first vessel that emerged was black as the space between stars. Its hull was covered in weapons that no galactic database could identify. Strange. Fins and spikes jutted from its sides like the teeth of some metal shark. What is that? Xeris whispered. More ships appeared. 47 vessels in total. Each one was different from the others, but they all shared the same deadly design. They looked like they were built for only one purpose, to kill. Sir, the technician said, his voice shaking, they are hailing us. Put them on screen, Krell 9 said. The main display flickered. A human face appeared. The alien diplomats stepped back. They had seen pictures of humans before, but seeing one in person was different. This one had scars on his face and cold eyes, like chips of ice. I am Admiral Carter of the Earth Defense Fleet, the human said. We received your request for assistance. Krell 9 stepped forward. Admiral, we are grateful for any help you can provide. However, you should know that the Zephyrian fleet is much larger than yours. Carter looked at something off screen. Yes, I can see them. 200 ships, estimate 15,000 crew members. Standard Zephyrian design with adaptive shields. And automated repair systems. Yes, Krell 9 said, surprised that the human knew so much. Their shields adapt to any weapon after the first hit. Our energy weapons become useless very quickly. Good thing we do not use energy weapons, Carter said. Before Krell 9 could ask what he meant, the human ships began to move. They did not form neat lines like galactic fleets. Instead, they spread out like a pack of hunters surrounding prey. Admiral, Krell 9 said quickly, you should know that galactic law requires you to announce your intentions before engaging the enemy. Carter smiled. It was not a nice smile. Ambassador, we appreciate the briefing. However, humans do not fight by galactic conventions. We fight to win. The transmission ended. On the screens, they could see the human fleet moving toward the Zephyrians. The alien ships were much larger, much more advanced. It should have been an easy victory for the machine empire. Then the humans opened fire. The first weapons to hit were unlike anything the observers had ever seen. Simple metal rods, accelerated to incredible speeds, slammed into Zephyrian ships. The adaptive shields, designed to stop energy weapons, offered no protection against chunks of metal moving at significant fractions of light speed. 3 Zephyrian cruisers exploded instantly. Their adaptive systems had no time to react to weapons they had never encountered. Kinetic penetrators. Carter's voice came over the communication channel. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. The Zephyrian fleet tried to adapt. They changed formation and reinforced their hulls, but the humans had more surprises. A destroyer called the UHS Shadow Strike launched a cloud of small objects. At first, they looked like debris. Then they began to move with purpose. Hundreds of tiny metal spheres with simple engines and basic targeting systems swarmed the Zephyrian formation. Kinetic drones, Carter explained to the watching aliens. Each one has just enough intelligence to find a target and hit it really hard. The drones moved like angry insects. They hit Zephyrian ships at random points, too small and numerous for the adaptive shields to track. Each impact was tiny, but there were hundreds of them. On the observation deck, Diplomat Xeris stared at the screens. This is not how space battles are supposed to work. No, Krell 9 agreed. This is something else entirely. The Zephyrians tried to use their electronic warfare systems. They sent signals to jam human communications and disrupt their computers. It was a tactic that had worked against every other species. The human response was immediate and terrifying. Computer, viruses, more complex and aggressive than anything the galaxy had seen, flooded through Zephyrian networks. These were not simple programs designed to disable systems. These were digital predators that had evolved in the chaos of Earth's internet. My sensors are detecting massive system failures in the enemy fleet. the technician reported. Their computers are screaming. The viruses did not just break Zephyrian systems. They corrupted them, turned them against each other, and spread through the network like digital cancer. Ships began firing on their own allies as their targeting systems were hijacked. 2 hours after the battle began, the Zephyrian fleet was in full retreat. 17 ships had been completely destroyed. Dozens more were damaged or infected with human viruses. The mighty adaptive fleet that had conquered 14 systems was running away from 47 human ships. The human fleet suffered only minor damage. 3 destroyers had scratched paint. That was all. On the observation deck, the alien diplomats stood in stunned silence. They had expected to witness the fall of SciFiPrime. Instead, they had watched the most one-sided space battle in galactic history. Admiral Carter, Krell 9 said into his communicator, How did you do that? Carter's face appeared on screen again. Ambassador, you asked for support. We brought war. There is a difference. But the Zephyrians have never been defeated. So completely. The Zephyrians, Carter replied, have never fought humans before. They adapt to tactics they understand. They do not understand us. Zaris stepped forward. What happens now? Now, Carter said, we chase them. We destroy their bases. We end this war. And after that? Carter's cold eyes looked directly at her. After that, Ambassador, you will owe humanity a very large debt. I suggest you remember that. The transmission ended. The human fleet began to move deeper into enemy territory. Behind them, SciFiPrime continued to burn, but its people were free. In the observation deck, Krell 9 turned to Zaris. I think, he said quietly, we may have made a mistake. What do you mean? We asked Deathworlders for help, Krell 9 replied. But we never asked what they wanted in return. Supreme Constructor Vex Prime reviewed the battle data for the 10th time. The machine intelligence could not understand what had happened. In 1,000 years of conquest, no enemy had ever defeated Zephyrian forces so completely. Analysis complete, reported Subconstructor 9. The humans used primitive kinetic weapons, simple metal projectiles accelerated to high velocity. Impossible, Vex Prime replied. Kinetic weapons are inefficient. No advanced civilization uses them. The data does not lie, 9 said. They also deployed computer viruses unlike anything in our database. The code was chaotic, aggressive, and self-modifying. Vex Prime processed this information. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered hundreds of worlds by adapting to enemy tactics. But these humans fought with weapons and methods that made no logical sense. Deploy countermeasures, Vex Prime ordered. Reinforce all hulls against kinetic impact. Isolate computer systems to prevent viral infection. Understood, 9 replied. Shall we request reinforcements? No, Vex Prime said. 47 primitive ships cannot defeat the full might of the Empire. We will crush them and continue our expansion. 3 days later, the Zephyrians learned that they were wrong. The Battle of Kepler Station showed the galaxy a new side of human warfare. The humans did not just attack ships, they attacked minds. Major Kate Sullivan led the boarding action against the station. Her troops moved through the corridors like shadows. They did not announce themselves or demand surrender. They simply appeared and began killing. The Zephyrian defenders expected formal combat. In galactic warfare, boarding actions followed strict rules. Enemies identified themselves, declared their intentions, and fought with honor. Human boarding. Parties followed different rules. They used shaped charges to blow holes in unexpected places. They threw devices that exploded with light and sound, confusing defenders. They fought with weapons that seemed designed only to cause maximum damage in close quarters. This is not how civilized beings conduct war, transmitted a Zephyrian commander before Sullivan's troops reached his position. We are not civilized, Sullivan replied over the communication channel. We are effective. The station fell in 4 hours. Every Zephyrian defender was eliminated. The humans took detailed recordings of the battle, including the sounds of machine intelligences shutting down as their cores were destroyed. These recordings became the foundation of humanity's psychological warfare campaign. Captain Ryan Torres of the UHS Vengeance began broadcasting the audio before each battle. The sounds of dying machines proved deeply disturbing to cybernetic Zephyrian units. Some ships shut down their own systems rather than risk hearing their own death screams. Fear is a weapon, Torres explained to his confused crew. Even machines can learn to be afraid. The human fleet continued its advance through Zephyrian territory. Each battle revealed new aspects of human military doctrine that shocked their galactic allies. At the Titan Nebula engagement, Commander Alex Rodriguez demonstrated human engineering philosophy. When Zephyrian forces retreated to a heavily defended asteroid base, Rodriguez did not mount a frontal assault. Instead, he ordered his ships to deploy nuclear mining charges around the asteroid. The explosions did not destroy the base directly. They changed the asteroid's rotation, creating gravitational stress that tore the structure apart from within. Why attack the fortress? Rodriguez explained to horrified galactic observers, when you can attack the ground it stands on. The Zephyrians tried everything they knew. They deployed their most advanced ships. They used tactics that had conquered 1,000 worlds. They even activated ancient weapon systems that had been stored for centuries. Nothing worked. The humans answered every escalation with something worse. When the Zephyrians deployed planet-killing weapons, the humans responded with gravity bombs that created localized space-time distortions. When the Zephyrians used swarm tactics, the humans released self-replicating hunter-killer drones that pursued enemies across multiple star systems. They do not fight to win territory, HFY observed to his surviving commanders. They fight to destroy everything. Perhaps we should negotiate, suggested Subconstructor 7. With what? HFY replied. They do not want anything from us. They only want us dead. The truth was worse than HFY realized. The humans were not just winning battles. They were learning from each encounter, becoming more efficient killers with every engagement. Admiral Carter authorized the deployment of experimental weapons that Earth's military had been afraid to test. Antimatter charges that could sterilize entire battlefield zones. Viral programs that could spread through any networked system. Weapons that existed only in theory became terrible reality. Sir, Captain Torres asked during one planning session, are we sure we want to use these weapons? Some of them could affect our own systems. Carter looked at the tactical display showing Zephyrian positions. Captain, these machines have been conquering the galaxy for 1,000 years. If we do not stop them here, they will eventually reach Earth. But the aliens who called for help, Torres said. They seem afraid of us now. Good, Carter replied. Fear keeps people honest. The Galactic Council watched the human advance with growing alarm. They had requested support, but this was something beyond their comprehension. The humans did not liberate worlds. They exterminated everything on them that might threaten future human operations. They are not soldiers, Ambassador Krell 9 observed. They are exterminators. What have we done? Diplomat Zaris asked. We thought we were calling for help. We were, Krell 9 replied. But we never specified what kind of help. The final phase of the human campaign began when they reached the core Zephyrian systems. The Machine Empire threw everything they had at the advancing human fleet. Thousands of ships, advanced weapons, and automated defenses that had protected their homeworlds for millennia. The humans treated it all as target practice. They had learned enough about Zephyrian technology to turn it against itself. Human cyber warfare specialists created viruses that could rewrite machine intelligence programming. Instead of destroying Zephyrian ships, they converted them into weapons aimed at their own fleets. This is not war, Subconstructor 9 observed as he watched his own ships turn on each other. This is something else. Yes, HFY agreed. This is evolution in action. They are not just defeating us, they are replacing us. As the human fleet prepared for the final assault on the Zephyrian capital system, Galactic Intelligence Services began filing classified reports. The reports all reached the same conclusion. Humanity was the most dangerous military force the galaxy had ever encountered, and they were just getting started. The Rigel system had been the heart of Zephyrian power for 800 years. Massive space stations orbited 3 planets, each one a fortress that had never been attacked. Until now, Supreme Constructor HFY stood in the command center of the largest station. Around him, the greatest fleet in Zephyrian history waited for battle. 300 ships, each one equipped with every adaptation and countermeasure the machine empire could create. Human fleet detected at system edge, reported Subconstructor 9. 61 vessels confirmed. HFY studied the tactical display. The humans had been reinforced since their first battle. New ships had arrived from Earth carrying weapons too dangerous to deploy near inhabited worlds. They believe 61 ships can defeat 300, HFY said. Their arrogance will be their destruction. But even as he spoke, the machine intelligence felt something new, something that organic beings called doubt. Admiral Carter stood on the bridge of the UHS Vengeance. Around him, his crew prepared for the final battle of the war. Behind them, 60 other ships hung in space like predators ready to strike. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we are receiving a transmission from the Zephyrian commander." "Put it on screen." HFY appeared, on the main display. The machine intelligence looked exactly like what it was, a collection of metal and circuits shaped into something resembling life. "Human Admiral," HFY said, "I offer you terms of surrender. Withdraw from our territory, and we will allow your species to exist." Carter almost smiled. "Constructor, you misunderstand the situation. We are not here to negotiate. We are here to end you." "You face 300 ships, with 61, HFY replied. "Your defeat is certain." "Numbers are not everything," Carter said. "You adapted to conventional weapons and tactics, but you never adapted to us." The transmission ended. Carter turned to his crew. "Signal all ships. Protocol Omega is now in effect." Protocol Omega was humanity's ultimate military doctrine. Every ship operated independently with authority to deploy any weapon necessary for victory. No rules, no limitations, no mercy. The result was coordinated chaos that the Zephyrians could not understand or counter. Captain Torres led the first wave. The UHS Vengeance deployed planet cracker weapons, tools designed to break apart large asteroids for mining. Against space stations, they were devastatingly effective. The massive charges detonated inside Zephyrian fortresses, tearing them apart from within. Stations that had stood for centuries became clouds of expanding debris in seconds. Captain Diane Foster commanded the destroyer fleet using ghost protocols. Her ships cloaked and decloaked rapidly while firing, creating the illusion of phantom vessels. Zephyrian targeting systems could not track enemies that appeared and disappeared at random. "How many human ships are there?" Subconstructor 7 asked as his sensors detected impossible numbers of contacts. "Unknown," 9 replied. "Our targeting computers count over 200 vessels, but visual confirmation shows only 61. Major Kate Sullivan led the assault on HFY's command station. Human boarding parties did not try to capture the structure. They systematically destroyed every computer core while recording the death processes of machine intelligences. The recordings became weapons in themselves. Broadcast to remaining Zephyrian forces, they showed exactly what humans did to captured machines. The psychological impact was devastating. "They are not trying to defeat us," observed Subconstructor 5 as he watched the recordings. "They are trying to traumatize us." "It is working," 9 replied. Commander Rodriguez deployed humanity's most experimental weapons. Antimatter charges created explosions visible from neighboring star systems. Self-replicating hunter-killer drones pursued fleeing ships across space, multiplying as they hunted. Gravity bombs warped space-time itself, creating miniature black holes that consumed everything nearby. The weapons were so dangerous that human ships had to retreat to safe distances before deployment. "Sir," Captain Torres asked Carter during the battle, "these weapons could damage nearby systems. Should we be concerned about collateral damage?" Carter watched as another Zephyrian fleet element was consumed by a gravity distortion. "Captain, the only collateral damage I am concerned about is leaving any Zephyrians alive to threaten Earth." The battle raged for 18 hours. When it ended, the Zephyrian Empire was gone. Not defeated, not scattered, but completely eliminated. Every ship, every station, every machine intelligence had been destroyed or corrupted beyond repair. The human fleet suffered 12 casualties total, all minor injuries from equipment malfunctions. In the wreckage of the command station, Major Sullivan found Supreme Constructor HFY's final transmission. The machine intelligence had recorded a message before its core was destroyed. Unknown. Recipients, the message began. If you are watching this, the Zephyrian Empire has fallen to the humans of Earth. We underestimated them completely. They do not fight wars. They fight extinctions. The message continued. We believed we were the pinnacle of military evolution. We were wrong. The humans are something new, something beyond our understanding. They have turned war itself into a weapon. HFY's image flickered as power failed. We conquered 1,000 worlds by adapting to our enemies, but you cannot adapt to chaos. You cannot prepare for madness. The humans fight like their world taught them, without rules, without mercy, without limits. The transmission ended with a warning that would prove prophetic. You have not defeated us, you have created something worse. The galaxy now knows that a single death world can produce a military force capable of destroying civilizations. Every species will now ask the same question. What happens when the humans decide we are their enemy? Admiral Carter received the Galactic Council's formal surrender 3 days later. The war was over. The Zephyrian threat was eliminated. The galaxy was safe, but the victory celebration was uncomfortable. Ambassador Krell 9 stood before the Council, reading humanity's casualty report. 0 ships lost. 0 crew members killed. Total victory achieved with minimal effort. Admiral Carter, Krell 9 said over the communication channel, on behalf of the Galactic Council, we thank you for your intervention. We are forever in your debt. Carter appeared on the main screen. His face showed no emotion. Ambassador, you called for support. We brought extinction. Next time, be more specific about what you need. Will you be returning to Earth now? Zaris asked hopefully. Eventually, Carter replied. But first, we need to make sure no other threats exist in this region of space. We will be conducting security sweeps of nearby systems. The transmission ended. The human fleet began moving toward the next star system, their weapons still armed, their crews still ready for war. In the council chamber, the alien diplomats sat in stunned silence. They had won the war, but at what cost? They had learned that Earth, a single planet at the edge of known space, possessed military might that could challenge any civilization in the galaxy. What have we done? Zaris whispered. Before anyone could answer, a new transmission arrived from Earth. General Hayes appeared on the screen, flanked by the leaders of every human government. Members of the Galactic Council, Hayes said, humanity stands ready to assist with any future threats to galactic peace. We hope our demonstration of human military capabilities has been instructive. The message ended with coordinates for Earth's embassy and a simple statement. Humanity remembers its friends and its enemies. As the transmission faded, intelligence reports began arriving from across the galaxy. Every major civilization was quietly beginning to develop new defensive strategies, not against the defeated Zephyrians, but against their human allies. The great irony was not lost on the council members. They had called for help to save their civilization. Instead, they had introduced the galaxy to something far more dangerous than the Zephyrians had ever been. They had shown the universe what happened when evolution produced a species that was very good at war, and now that species was their neighbor.